All right, good morning. Let me see if I can share my screen with you right here to start. I think I can. Get started out and share. How about that? Can you see that? Everybody see that? Does it work? Great. So good morning. My name is Jim Boyte. I live down the road, not too far from most of you, in a little town called Carthage in the Pinehurst Southern Pines region. But I guess the one thing I want you to know is, as the founder of this company, Active Defender, I think I have the greatest job in the world. I get to work with people, and as a team, we are empowering people to save lives. Now, what you may not know and realize is that I know everyone knows safety is priceless, but what may not be quite as obvious is how important it is for the teacher, just like the soldier, to know the details of what is happening in an emergency. I mean, we think of teachers mainly as just teaching, but they're also there to protect these children. And for just a minute, would you imagine that you're a teacher? Okay, just imagine you're a teacher. Now, imagine you're a teacher at one of these schools. You may remember these headlines, but imagine how scared you would be as a teacher at a time like this. You know, the protection of the children is of the utmost importance, but do you know that in every one of these situations, and just in the last 10 years, even with all the technology we've had, there's been 160 school shootings in the US with 365 deaths. In every one of those situations, the teachers were missing critical details needed to protect these children during those minutes while they waited for first responders to arrive. Now, we certainly have done a lot with technology to make sure everyone can send an alert, to get first responders there quicker. But let me share with you that in the last year and a half, we've added 68 campuses and 4,000 teachers that no longer have this worry. They have a solution. What was solved for them is the ability to receive information. Active Defender is an app that allows every teacher to receive that information instantly at the same time 911 does, to know what the problem is and where the problem is. That's what makes all the difference. It's not enough to know there's an alarm that sounded. Do you know, for the past 30 years, tragedy has continued to ensue because an alarm sounds. Matter of fact, it can sound quicker than ever. But if you don't know where the problem is relative to you, you may actually go towards the problem instead of moving away from it, to know that you're going to a secure area. What we've done with Active Defender is this. We have created a map in the palm of your hand or on your laptop, or it can show on a smart board in a classroom. And it's a situational awareness tool that allows any staff member, if they see a problem, not only to instantly be on the phone and share the information with 911 and first responders, but to place the icon on the map and it be instantly sent to all the other staff members. Matter of fact, Apple approved us for critical entitlements, meaning you don't even need this app running. Critical entitlements are the presidential alerts, the Amber alerts, the weather alerts. Even if your phone is silenced, if you allow it when you install the app and one of your fellow teachers or staff members says, I see something you need to know, your phone's going to wake up. The school image and the map of your school, including multiple floors, is going to show you what the problem is and where the problem is. And that saves lives. We created a minimal viable product in November of 2018, and we worked with one school, 45 teachers. It was nowhere as advanced as it is today, but they gave us feedback. They loved it. They fell in love with it. And they said, hey, could you add a medical alert? And could you also help us know, how we could report a fight, because we don't want kids to get expelled. And if we could save 30, 45 seconds getting someone there sooner, but I got a little ahead. I'm sorry. In 2018, this one school really had the teachers here in North Carolina said, hey, we love it. Add a few more things to it. By March of that year, the superintendent called, the district called, and they said, we want to pay for this and have it in all our schools. Even as COVID hit last year, we continued to grow and have seen schools embrace it to be able to empower their teachers and their staff to save lives and protect these children. Let me give you an idea of just the school market and what it looks like here in the United States. There's just shy of 300,000 public, private, and non-home-based daycare in the United States. Of them, there's about 35,000 private schools. Now, we're currently only in 62 of those, but growing rapidly. And we have a great, incredible model to where we really are seeing private schools be able to come on board, a sales model that seems to be perfected, that works through the school year. And so our focus is really right now on owning this private school market and providing it completely for them. But we are in several public school districts also. It's a subscription-based service that has a one-time setup fee of $500. And then on average, it costs the school about $1,500 a year to operate this service. We have an incredible team. Though I founded it, great gentleman, Chris Maxwell, joined in. He still works with Booz Allen Hamilton, but he helps in our preparing requests for proposal and has been instrumental in helping us write our standard operating procedures. John Pergerson is a subject matter expert in product development and security, but we are currently really looking for a sales maven and hope that might be one area that you might be able to possibly point us to someone that has experience also in the K-12 space in particular. Right now, here's our milestones. We went from an MVP to what we found is an incredibly disruptive solution. It's just like a paradigm shift for schools. There's a lot of money spent in this space, but right now the ability to put a map in the palm of their hand and share all this instantly, it is so far above just sending a text message in what it provides in reducing chaos that's incredible. Well, so with the 62 schools, a few of them are still non-paid from the beginning when we started, but we have about 70,000 in annual recurring revenue. But we're getting ready to enter our first amount of fundraising. I'm not here to do that with you all, but just so that you know the whole picture of who we are, we're going to be focusing all of that, or the 80% of that, to sales and marketing, with a target of reaching 500 schools and having 500,000 in ARR over the next 18 months. In light of all of this and where Active Defender is, I want to come back to this in just a minute so that you've got my information. I, in particular, am so gracious for the opportunity that has been afforded to us to present at 1 Million Cups at Fayetteville Tech. And I had 3 things I wanted to ask for. Lori said, hey, come with your request. And you may or may not be able to help me with these, but I'd like to see if you can possibly connect us with an intern to do some research on our behalf. I don't know if that could work, but I wear a lot of hats. We have limited funds. We are cash flow positive. So we, in particular, I could go into what some things we're looking for, but the top one would be, hey, can you help us find schools that are located close to prisons or county jails? Those teachers live in fear. Or schools in areas to where, due to the urban or gang environment, like that, we really want to be able to provide this because it's such a cost-efficient solution. And we've seen that it really reduces the chaos and fear level of teachers once they have it and use it in their drills? Can you possibly introduce us to folks in the K-12 space in Cumberland or surrounding areas? And last but not least, we have a new version of our app being released in March to where we want to test, and it's ideal for universities. Sorry about that, I should have silenced my phone. It's ideal for universities in that it has students that can be a part of it, and they can report bullying, violence. I see drugs, I see guns, I see graffiti, things that need to be up, and it goes to an internal team. And we are looking for a community college or a university that could help us vet out how well that works in conjunction. Right now, we're only serving the K-12 space with this, but as I meet with you this morning, and I was told I needed to be done with all of this by 9:15, so I'm hitting it right on the mark. These are the three things I'd like to ask for, and I'm here to answer any questions.
I'll jump in first then. Do you have an actual written marketing plan? And regardless of your answer, what are you doing to market your business now?
Ms. Burns, we do not have a written marketing plan written up fully. I have been advised to work on that. And our main marketing right now comes through referrals, where we go to an existing customer and ask them, who is the next person that we could talk to?
So basically, if I don't know someone who already has it, then I don't know about you. Is that what you're saying?
We have a website, and so you're right. We have a website. I have sent out over 1,000 emails, probably crafted not correctly, and people didn't respond. To be honest with you, I think they've seen everything there is to see. But the one good thing is if we can ever get them to look at it and demo it, we normally close the sale in a matter of 2 weeks. But getting someone to look at it and demo it has been incredibly difficult for us, Dr. Burns.
Well, one of the things I would suggest is, yes, I see you want an intern. I'm not exactly sure what kind of research you want them to do, so that would help if you could clarify exactly what type of research you're looking for. But I would strongly encourage you to look at taking on some marketing interns who are looking for some experience, some practical work experience, and have fresh ideas.
Can I add that to my ask right now?
Exactly.
I like that.
What kind of research were you looking for there?
So the first thing I was looking for was probably what would result after a marketing plan was in place, but would be key markets. So schools that are near, trying to say, is there a way to find out what schools are located near a prison or a county jail? We have a variety of schools like that. Those schools embrace our product. We get letters back. I get emails. Thank you for letting us have this. We feel so much better. We have to come to work every day beside this where we're afraid some prisoner is going to escape. So I'll stop. That's why we asked for trying to locate those folks.
So you're really looking for some marketing research because you're looking for potential customers. So, but I will tell you, as a person who lived in Raleigh for many years and I could see Central Prison right outside my door. You really aren't that fearful because I know if somebody breaks out, they want to get as far away and fast as they could. But the ones that I think you hit the nail on the head are people who are in high crime areas. That I do think you have a lot of potential for, because not only are you looking for that once too often person who goes off the deep end and goes and starts mass shooting people, but you're looking at the day-to-day dangers as well. So I think that's a really good avenue to go in terms of high crime, high incident areas. But I would focus less a little bit on the prisons because they don't want to stick around.
Perfect. Thank you, ma'am.
And one of the suggestions from one of the audience is if you will stop sharing your screen, we can see everybody. I think that's a good idea. There we go.
So Jim, I have a question as well. So you mentioned that your target market is basically K through 12, but why not the community colleges or the four-year institutions? We've seen, sadly, we've seen shootings at larger, you know, at the community college or the college level as well. Why not encompass them as well?
Lori, this is a great question. My initial research said so I met with two different community colleges, one here, another one down the road in Asheboro, and they wanted not only this, but they wanted it to also work for their students. And we didn't have that module available 6 months ago, 7 months ago when I met with them. It's going to be available next month. That's why I asked about potentially having Fayetteville Tech try it.
So try it just for the student side or for the student and the instructor side, or
both?
For both.
I'd like for you to try it for both. I'd like for it to be both for the professors and the, and.
Yes, I'd love to try it. But if it's for students, can they remain anonymous? So if they want to report somebody's doing something that they shouldn't, will they remain anonymous, or will it be known who sent the alert?
So with the current build, and we're moving into testing that, we have a little checkbox on your admin piece, and you as the administrator get to decide and tell the students what you create their credentials. So then it's up to you whether you let their information to come in. The private schools that want to use it want it to not be confidential, okay? We suspect that the public schools will want it to be, but we leave that up to you.
Monique,
We even have a feature so it'll take a picture, and it can actually take a front picture and a back picture, just in case they were being held hostage and we're trying to get it to show something else. It's up to you whether you want to implement that or not.
Monique? Can't hear you. Unmute if you're muted.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in while she's working on her microphone. So thank you, Jim, for the presentation. Something that stuck out to me, though, was why you? I mean, don't pitch me the team. What's the story behind why you found this to be something of interest, and why are you focused on it?
Right. For the past 7 years, I have worked with folks that work for our president at Fort Bragg in the backyard of you all at Fayetteville Tech, and building situational awareness. I worked with school systems, helping them with logistics. So I would have told you 3 years ago, soldiers were my heroes. And then in working with some of them on short-term deployments and going to schools, we would go to schools and kind of help them with logistics. I was trying to get them to answer these difficult questions. This all came about because I created this game to let them role play and answer these difficult questions, and realized they didn't have this solution. There was nothing that provided these teachers taking care of our kids that I love and think the world of. There was nothing that provided them the information so that they could save lives in those 3 to 5 minutes while they're waiting for first responders. And
forgive me, you went from the military to, supporting the president to the teachers. So help me make that connection, because what I want to do is get into this offline so that we can weave this into your story, because it really matters.
Sure. Yes, sir. I'm still slightly connected. So I don't guess I did a job for the CIA last week before. But yes, I'm part of a team writing situational awareness for the government unclassed called ATAC, Android Tactical Assault Kit. It's used by every ABC group, but it's a program of record for CAG or Delta or whatever you want to call them. But I left them in January 2019 to go full-time to build a similar package for schools because nothing existed to allow these teachers to be empowered to save lives in really what I would call a fog of war in those first 3 to 8 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, depending upon whether you're rural or urban.
Monique, are you back yet? No, we can't hear you.
We can't hear, but she posted her question. She said, are there criteria for false claims of persons reporting incidents?
Can you repeat that one more time?
It's in the chat. She said,
Okay,
are there criteria for false claims of person reporting incidents?
Oh, that's a great question. So the equivalent question, let me just make sure I understand. So I'm answering the right question. The equivalent question would be, what are the consequences for somebody that pulls a fire alarm when they don't want to go to the math test scheduled at the college, right? That would be the equivalent of it for your school. Is that correct? So the consequences, the criteria would all be relative to whatever the school implemented. We can track the MAC address of anything. First of all, they can only be a part of your group. The general public could never set an alert. You have to give them credentials. So even if you let the credentials be something that was set up relative to their school email or whatever like that, if they set a false alert, you could track it down. The other thing, and maybe I shouldn't get, I'll let you decide if you want to go that way, would be, I don't think the alerts sent by students should go to all the professors. I think they should go to an internal team, which is the way we recommend it and set it up, and you vet it and then decide to send it out.
Okay.
Hey, we can hear you now.
Oh, good.
Okay, we have another question in the chat. John wants to know, who is your competition?
Our biggest competition are schools buying school cameras. The second largest is buying RFD door systems. Okay, that's where the majority of money, if you look at it from a money thing. If you want to know our closest competitor that does the similar thing to us, it is probably Rave out of Massachusetts. They're extremely well funded. It's a text-based kind of service. Or cellular, 911 cellular does something somewhat similar. And a variant of it would be like Centegix. They're an incredibly well-funded company out of Atlanta. Oh, and Cisco has Crisis Go, but I don't think they're anywhere near as developed as like Rave and some of the other ones. It's a similar text-based something, but they're a big company with a lot of money behind it.
So Jim, I'm sorry, go ahead, Doctor.
Well, I was just going to follow up. So what makes you different?
Perfect. None of the other ones provide the details as to the exact nature and location of the threat to all your staff members. They're focused upon making sure everyone can send an alert. And in a text message, they want to make sure that even if you can't hear the bell or you're outside, you get a text message knowing there is a problem, but they don't give you the details. Let me drill down on that just 1 second, and I'll shut up and let you ask other questions. Do you realize that this is true? You only make good decisions based upon where you are and what you know. No other system in a drill, I don't know that you do fire drills at the community college, but you know, they have to do them at every K-12 school. When a fire drill goes off, do you know to this day, with outside of our system, that teacher never knows if they're going towards the fire or away from the fire.
Yeah, that's
we provide that information.
You mentioned that prior, that you may go to the problem versus away from it. I think if you build your answer around that and you're legitimate in doing so, if it's accurate, then that's probably the best answer you could possibly give at the highest level. So you, we're going, what was it that Monique had touched to? Oh yeah, I was going to ask with the, as far as the customer, what makes you different from your competitors and who are your competitors? Have you given any thought to these RFD providers and these camera providers as ways that you can tie in your system with theirs, that they can be channel partners and that it can be a more of a holistic system, bringing more value? Because it sounds like they kind of need everything, and you bring another component to it. So is there a way to somehow, you know, in our world, it would be connecting via an API, right? Technology through an API and bring more value. How do you do that with the cameras and the RFIDs? And do you see there being an opportunity?
So I think two ways. A strategic partnership would be ideal. If we could get introduced to the right people, or they were interested in, you know, there's a marriage that way, would be ideal. We certainly will open up our system to the APIs, but since we're the small kid on the block, we are looking really at tying into theirs. So I am very interested in working in one campus and looking at
More specifically, what does that look like though? Because what Jim, what you can do here in this answer is you can paint a picture for the investor that might be interested in funding this of where the exits lie, because you just said they're bigger than you, but you provide another opportunity for them to bring more value to their own customer, and you grow your own company in the meantime.
Right. So the story behind it that caused me to think about it was there's a company in New York, and I may slaughter their name, Warburg Pincus, they're private equity. But anyway, I got a call from one of their folks, probably not the highest level, mid-level, he's probably pretty smart to work there anyway. And they were very interested in connecting us to a company that they had hold of in Raleigh, which it didn't work out because I think they got acquired by Raptor, or the pieces moved out. But it caused us to think there was an incredible potential. And we were pretty excited about it. We were way too small for these folks to invest in us, but they were looking to invest in another company they already had to acquire us and add it as a possibility. And I want to be a part of changing the world. That my whole goal is to see this grow and spread. And I first want to, we found something that really works for the private school sector. So probably in my angel, if we do angel investing, I want to throw fuel on that and own that market. But ultimately, I hope to grow and be a part of something that may very well outgrow me, but really changes our world as a whole, because there's some other verticals it'll also move into, but that has this potential. So Ray, I don't know if that answered. Maybe you can help clarify if you need anything. No, it didn't.
It did not, but we'll talk offline. We're going to improve this. Okay. You've got a hell of a product and people need it. So we're going to make this, that's what you're here for, right? This is a healthy community to share and work with people that want to help you get further along. That's why we're all here.
John, you had your hand up?
Yes, ma'am. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So it sounds like it's here. Let me turn the camera on. Maybe this will help. I don't know if that does or not. I can't see any picture of me, but
see you.
Okay. The only question or concern that I have, based off everything that I've heard, it sounds like it's a great product. I have no doubt that there's a market for it, but the concern, I guess, that I have is, and this is just my personal take on things, but you're talking about an app that lets everybody know. Now, you've said a couple of times that you can dictate who receives the text or who receives the message about what's going on. But my concern is if I'm a student, if I'm a teacher, whoever has access to this app, if I'm hearing gunshots down the hall, and then how many of us are going to actually respond to the gunshots and seek cover versus, oh, let me get my phone. What's going on before I decide to go seek cover? And understandably, some people may just leave their phone behind, or they may have it in a purse, in a pocket, in a backpack, something else, to where they may get to the closet, then pull up the phone and look and see what's going on. And I see there's benefit to that. But again, the question is how many people are going to reach and grab for their phone instead while they're seeking cover? Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And hopefully a majority of people are in a place they can immediately lock down. But do you know there's going to be a significant portion, even if it was only say 15%, they're in an unsecure location. They're in the media center. They're in the cafeteria. They're in a location between buildings with kids on a playground, and they hear the shots. Which way do they go? Because the problem is if we look at the history, a significant number of people have died in every event because they went the wrong way. Now, if you're in a place you can lock down, just lock down and then look. And our app, see if I can show it to you right here, allows you to, once you do it, this is kind of it right here. You can then say, hey, I'm locked down. And if I see if I can zoom in, you can see this is where I am located in this classroom. And I touch this button and change it and say green, I'm locked down, I'm okay. But if I was in the media center, if I was outside, if I needed to know which way to go, which given any time is a certain percentage of your folks. And if you move to students, it's going to be even a higher percentage. They need to know which way to go. This is what it provides, John. But I agree, if you're there, you don't need it locked down, then turn it on and then let them know, hey, this is what I can tell you. Because you can even take a picture with our app and show the focal point of the picture. So if you held it up to a window, you could point it outside. And if you could get a picture of something that's significant, you can send first responders and others the details, and it shows the location of that picture based upon the focal point, not where you are.
I get what John's trying to say, because, you know, when you're in the spur of the moment and you hear the gunshots, the last thing you want to do is pick up your phone and look at. However, having sat through some of the drills that we've done for active shooters, when you are in lockdown, you have no way of what's going on. You don't know if it is safe to come out unless somebody comes along, and you don't know if that's the shooter saying it's okay to come out or if it's security unless you have a buzzword. And you just don't know. So if they say go, you know, because the new thing now is to run, not to, if you can run safely, to get out, and you don't know which way to go. So you have a very viable thing of saying, you know, telling me, directing me that which way I can go, as opposed to sitting here blindly not knowing anything.
So Dr. Burns, are you saying, just for my own understanding here, to understand Jim's application, are you saying that the lockdown mode makes perfect sense to me? Because if that's part of your playbook, then the next logical step would be that you would leverage the app, right, to know what's going on. But if you're going away from that, where it's run like hell, then and just get out of here, then it goes back to the other gentleman's point that there could be you know, this just utter chaos, and not my last focus is the phone. How do you propose that something like this makes sense?
Well, our training has not been to just run randomly. It's a matter of a quick assessment of, do you think you can get out safely? If you think you can get out, you need to get out. But you don't want to just randomly run one way. With his app, I could see if you could kind of direct me which way to go or not to go, you know, like the danger zones of stay out or what's in lockdown. That would benefit me because I know which way to go safely, as opposed to just, like you said, getting out and running like mad and hoping I'm not running in the right into the fire instead of out of the fire. But when you are in lockdown, you are, unless you've got people who are texting back and forth or whatever, you really don't know what's going on, and you're sitting there and you don't know. And we had somebody came through saying all clear. I don't know if that's the security, if I don't know if that's the shooter. So I could see where, beyond that initial response of gunfire going on, I could see that you can help me as the one in that situation to potentially navigate my way through it.
Can I add a third dimension? We kind of talked about two dimensions. Let me add a third dimension. There's also the potential that you have people en route coming into your campus. This system makes sure they know they would not have heard the gunshot, but they're not driving in blind. Now, the way that works at a local high school where our app gets used almost every week is not so much driving them blind, but it is where a teacher reports two kids on the verge of fighting. And if you get somebody there sooner, they don't have to get expelled. That's a win for the school and the kids. But the flip side of that is it can also help somebody else to keep their classes away from where that, and I know you probably don't have that so much on the community college, but at high school, fights are a big thing and everybody wants to record it and everybody wants to see it. And, you know, it's another dimension, but we see it get used very regularly at local high schools in terms of what we call an altercation alert.
I think we have a question from a caller.
This is Harold. I'm on the call. I have a question. Is this service being marketed to small to mid-sized companies?
Harold, that's a great question. So we are not spending any money marketing it to them. However, here's the example that just happened. We are in Wilmington Christian Academy. And I use this example because it just happened recently. They have about 1,000 students. And as the result of that, there's a big film studio down there. And one of the parents works at the film studio and told the director, and they're filming the new International Space Station movie. I got a call and they said, hey, we want your product. And so we put it in for them. That happened December and went into effect. And I got the call this past week from the new movie Black Shoe, which is the new Doctor Strange movie. And one director talked to another director and said, hey, and they're also in Wilmington, you need this. So we are in some businesses that include manufacturing, and we're in some movie studios. It works real well for them, but we're not directly marketing to them at this time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I don't know if you can see the chat or not, but Don had a good suggestion. Don, are you going to jump in? Okay. Well, he may have some technical issues. He had some technical issues last time. He said, it seems like this would be resolved by drills with real world scenarios. Can you provide that training along with the app?
Yep. Dr. Burns, is it okay if I share my screen again for just a minute? Mm-hmm. So this is the command center, okay, for Active Defender. And this represents the school, to where as a teacher, I have this app on my phone, and you can see I kind of appeared right there. There's this yellow button that says right here, and you tap it and all my icons go yellow on mine, and it becomes a drill mode. And I tap, hey, I got a fire, and the fire is located right here, and I send it. And then what goes out, sorry, let me silence that. All the other teachers' phones go off, but it doesn't send it to the first responders in this case. So now we want to make sure this would be bright red if it was a real alert. So we want to make sure all the, they don't panic or anything like that. But yes, we have training, and they use it in their drills every month. And it's where we get to work with the teachers, and they love it. And they say, hey, make sure you tell me if you see something. In this case, the training is not just to avoid the fire, but a lot of times you egress the building. And part of the training we want to do is, hey, now you need to know. Don't just egress, leave and make sure there's a structure between you and the fire if the fire is on the outside. Make sure if the fire or the leak, the toxic leak, is in the chemistry department at Fayetteville Tech, that even though that may be the closest way to exit, go the long way out the west wing, because you don't want to be going by that door and have it blow up. So in their drills, we have them practice scenarios that it might not be the obvious choice, but it would be the obvious choice when they looked at the problem to know they were maximizing safety.
Well, I love the show don't tell. We're going to implement this. This is good.
Any other questions I can potentially answer? And what advice would you give me? I mean, I would love to have some help, like Dr. Burns said, in interns helping me with marketing plans or learning more about social media marketing and things like that. I don't have a huge budget, but show me what I can do, or what advice do you have for me?
Jim, this is Don Matheson. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, great product. I would take the, have you contacted any newspapers or reporters or people that, you know, would just, that this would appeal to, like it appeals to the rest of us, and just have them do some stories on you or release your own press release and, you know, send it to every newspaper, local newspaper? I haven't heard anything about these kind of apps being developed.
We made the front page of the pilot last year.
And did you get any response from it?
Well, it was good, but we were already in every Moore County school. Moore County has it in all the schools. And so we actually, then there is on our website, active-defender.com, it was a news group out of Fayetteville that came here and ran a 1.5-minute story on us, and you know, interviewed the schools and the things like that. That was good. I submitted some things to WRAL, but I'm probably not good in copyright and could use your help. They wouldn't pick it up. They didn't do a story on us or anything. I'd love to hit a little bit higher level than what we've been able to do. So could you help me with that, Don?
Yeah, I probably could.
How to write that or what to do?
Sure. That's bizarre to me that WRAL wouldn't pick that up. But that's the way marketing is. You just have to put it out there and figure out your best avenue. Did you have a snapshot already? One of the things is that's why you need a sales guy and a marketing guy, because that's what they do all the time. Just keep pumping the handle of the pump till you find a couple of things that work, and then just go from there. Because if you're already in one newspaper, you would just call another newspaper in another county or city or wherever you want to expand to and get them to write it as well, or do a press release that goes nationwide. So yeah, there's a couple of avenues there. I'll give you a shout. And were you going to leave us some contact information, right?
I will. I'll put it in the chat right now too. That would be great. I'll put my cell number and my email. I would really appreciate that.
Of course, if WRAL isn't interested, maybe WTVD is.
Exactly. That's the point. And the cable channels, the TWC, Spectrum, whatever. One thing that Cindy reminded me of that you might want to try and target, maybe a central prison like she was talking about wouldn't be a concern to schools, but they're trying to build a neighborhood prison right across the street from FTCC. As a matter of fact, it's going to have 100 federal prisoners in it with a mandate that they have 2 to 3 hours. They're serving active sentences, and they're going to have 2 to 3 hours per day to go out and quote unquote look for jobs. So I would track all of the halfway houses or prisons that they've got like that, private prisons across the country. There's a dozen schools within walking distance of where that prison might be. It might not be built, but I would track that. I think every school within that radius would buy that app in a heartbeat.
See, it just so happened that very first school that started with our app, the county jail, which is actually only 4 blocks from where I'm sitting right now, that houses all the inmates for the entire Moore County, is right down the hill within 500 meters of the playground of that school. 500 yards, sorry, and so they were really excited, and then they just talked it up, after they jumped on it. And so that was where that came from, and why I'm so was so excited to learn more about it so I could focus any of our initial marketing dollars in areas that I thought had the highest potential.
So Jim, we have another question in the chat. Lenny wants to know, have you contacted any first responders to get their feedback on the app?
That's a great question. Our app actually is designed, we are in the 911 center in Greene County. We are in multiple police departments and fire departments. So we provide it free. For example, if we put it in Fayetteville Tech, if Dr. Burns says, hey, let's try it, let's put it in here, then we would say, after we get it implemented, we'd say, Dr. Burns, do you have students or people that work with local law enforcement that love your school? Because if we could have a meeting and you have them come in and you, Dr. Burns, you have to create the credentials because it's your school, okay? But if you create the credentials, we will allow them to have it an app on their phone or even a desktop module where they can monitor multiple schools. And because you created credentials, if something happens at Fayetteville Tech, they get alerted. So yes, we provide it free for the schools. I mean, free for the first responders, but the schools have to set up the credentials for them. And there's no charge, no additional charge license fee for the school. The reason I really do that, not only does it help you, but we know that we're going to be moving into the hospitals and the business sectors. And as soon as the police have it, it's easy to go into a business and say, hey, police are already monitoring these 23 schools in our county. You know, when we add you, they're glad to monitor you also. And it also has an additional feature called reverse 911. So if the bank gets robbed, they can pull out a little thing that says, hey, here's the radius. Okay, that I'm concerned with. Any school, any business in that area, automatically, all your teachers get alerted. And it's called a soft lockdown. Just get the kids, make sure they don't go outside or realize there is a, you know, there's a suspect in the area. You need to be on high alert.
Jim, going back to the question though, at its core is, did you get their feedback? What was their feedback? You're talking about the selling of what you have and all the stuff behind it, but that's all coming from your direction, not the direction of the feedback you've received, if any at all.
So the feedback we received from the first responders was very positive. I want it. How can I get it? What does it cost me? And they've all accepted it from these schools that have implemented that. And that's why we're in the 911 centers and in the police stations from Savannah, Georgia. We're in all the way up through.
So when you say they've accepted it, you're actually you're saying that they've not only have you brought it to their attention in a market where a school has adopted your technology, but they then have said, great, we'll have access to that and we'll allow that to be one of the many tools we look at in the event that an issue occurs. Is that what you're saying?
That is correct. There are multiple officers that have it using it right now.
So right now that's top down, which is good that you're getting the validation that these folks are willing to use it. Certainly be an opportunity to get a lot of feedback from them. Pray that it doesn't get used often. If you aren't already, right? You may be. And then bottom up. And I think the question was from a bottom up perspective, not that you've deployed it in the school and then got the feedback, although I could be wrong. I could have interpreted it incorrectly, but the bottom up is to say, do you find an opportunity here that these first responders will actually message your product for you? And as part of that, what have they been telling you they need or that they would like?
So I haven't explored that enough to know, and that's a great opportunity you're presenting before me to do that. I do know that
you have no better research than the ones that already have it active. So that's great.
All right, and the ones that have it active, the testimonials I get from them, hey, it's my kid that goes to that school, and it takes. Here's the real cool thing to know. It's not cool. I don't know how you want to say it. They say it takes me about 2 minutes from the time the phone call goes into 911 before I get instructions with details to get to the school. All right. This way, you just saved me 2 minutes.
that needs to get in the pitch.
All right,
So Jim, thank you so much for a fantastic presentation. I'm glad to have you here today. Again, we definitely want to try to help you with those 3 wants. So here at the community colleges, we have students that could really help you, and we want to get you in touch with those people that can help. So we'll definitely connect you. I think Dean Burns may could guide us in the right direction, or we have a work-based learning program here on campus. Miss Jeanette Nunnery runs that, so we want to make sure that we get you to the right people to assist you with the marketing part. Again, if any of you guys want to stick around after 1 Million Cups, please feel free to do so. Jim will be hanging out, waiting to talk with you. I'm going to take the last question. What can this community do for you, Jim? How can we help? Other than the 3 wants.
So I think I've seen so many times that in the day or 2 days that follow, other thoughts come up, ideas. Please don't fail to write down my contact information, and know it says in the counsel of many is wisdom. It would be so valuable, that little piece of thought, idea, whatever like that, if you will not be troubling me. So put that aside, send me a text, send me an email. Please let me know what other thoughts come to mind and ideas of direction that we could do.
All right, and thank you so much for being here. And again, we invite you to come back and tell us how things are going in the future. But also come back. We meet here on Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock. It's a great opportunity to meet people, help people in the community, but also that essential networking. So we invite you to come back. If you guys have any questions for him after we end the session, we're going to hang around. I'd like to ask what is going on in the community. Anybody want to tell us what's coming up?
Lori, can I ask two real quick things? It just made me think
Sure.
about it. 2 things. Can you think of anybody I should be connected with that could also help? Could you help me connect with somebody? Maybe you don't know right now, but think about it. Who should I also be talking to? Who should I be connected with as we're growing this business? And here's the second thing. What can I do to help you? Tell me what I can do to be a better. I want to show up on Wednesdays. I would say that without doing it. So I'm not every Wednesday, but anything else I can do to help you, I want to do.
Okay. Well, you have a fantastic product, and I think, sadly, it's really needed in today's world. So I hope to see that expand and more people become aware of the product, because I had never heard of it before 1 Million Cups, or our conversation that happened several months ago about your presentation. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about the app. And as the app continues to grow, I think it's going to be utilized in spaces other than schools. And I think you've already elaborated on that, right? You've already alluded to that. So we'll be in contact, Jim. Again, I really appreciate your time. I appreciate a fantastic presentation. Again, I'm going to ask the audience if there's anything they'd like to tell the community about what's going on in their neighborhood.